Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. A rough morning here. I'm catching a cold, but nonetheless, we're still going to talk about this, right? We we have to talk about what's important, and what's important is that Karl Jobst has been called out to do a live stream and answer some questions and stop hiding in the Discords. Now, for those of you who don't know, let me give you a little bit of a backstory here. Here's a Luss, lawyer that's been covering the Billy Mitchell trial. And from the very beginning, this gentleman thought that Karl Jobst was going to win. Not as much as Karl Jobst did, but he thought he was going to win. Regardless, now that he has lost, and this gentleman is giving him advice to, protect his family, basically, and not do the things that he's been doing. Well, it looks like Karl hasn't taken that too kindly. And on top of that, people on his Discord have, apparently offended this gentleman. Let me tell you, this guy is pretty mild-mannered, right? He's not a smack talker, right? This guy, keeps it pretty, professional. The family guy, he has a baby himself. And, but he gets pretty spicy here. Whatever you guys did to him out there, whatever choice words or whatever Discord did to him, upset him pretty much, where now he's going in on Karl. And basically the gist of his videos recently are that he believes that Karl misled the public while raising money unless he's shown more evidence, right? So here he's going to start breaking down by, with a combination of it, of his accent and the fact that he's really pissed, right? He's going to start clowning here on Karl. So let's get this started.
Hello, you absolute legend. So Karl Jobst raised $200,000 in Australian. Again, that's Australian dollars. Hello, you absolute legends. Apollo legend. My name is Karl Jobst, and I'm a YouTuber who often reports on video game cheaters. Last year, Billy Mitchell, star of The King of Kong and proven video game cheater.
If I had to listen to that, you have to listen to that. So basically, he goes, through his statements and highlights how many times he says the word cheaters, and pointing out the fact that nowhere is Apollo or that situation mentioned, right? And the fact that he claims that to have more than one lawsuit, right? And if you read the statement here, it says, but it gets even worse because Billy is threatening me with even more lawsuits, and then proceeds to say that indeed, right, he has been hit with multiple lawsuits. And nobody can find any evidence of this, right? So he's challenging him with that. Let's see the other part of the video here that is pretty relevant. Here we go.
My end result is, was there two lawsuits? That's question one that we have to. If Karl were to be honest, he would do a live stream. And he would allow us to ask him questions. That's kind of how I do a live stream. You guys answer questions in chat, and whatever gets upvoted, I answer I talk about whatever topics you guys want. If Karl's done live streams before, so you cannot tell me Karl just doesn't live stream. He's done one on Camelot, right?
Yes, that Camelot one that came back to bite him in the butt. Let's see here.
So he's open to doing live streams. I think he should do one on his channel, and I think he should allow people to collect questions, especially the donors. If you're a confirmed donor, you should be able to ask him these questions. So my question would be, Billy Mitchell's son says that there was only one filed and served one lawsuit onto Karl. There you see right there. My father filed and served one lawsuit onto Karl. Karl says in his GoFundMe, let me repeat this again in Karl's own words, right? This situation is already crazy, but has gotten much worse as Billy Mitchell has sent me another defamation lawsuit for another $450,000.
So he was raising money based on two lawsuits, right? And nobody can find evidence of the second lawsuit. Now, these people, and I mean him and other people, and he's now having people contact the courthouse. Just gets better, right? To find evidence of this other lawsuit. Now, if he can't do it, right, and if he can't do it, that means in his eyes, right, I'm not saying this, but in his eyes, he's straight out claiming that Karl Jobst misled people in order to raise money, which is what Billy Mitchell had said, right? So, it would be mind-blowing if this was to be true. I never thought this would ever be true, right? I mean, I didn't see this in my bingo card. I knew, Karl Jobst was pretty pissed. I knew he was raising money. But if I never thought, based on his videos, based on my experiences, watching his work, I never thought that Karl would do something like that, specifically when he had roasted the completionist so badly for basically doing the same thing, right? Ended his career. And now look at where we're at. Now, this is just not some random idiot, going in on him for no reason. This is a person that supported him. This is, I'm talking about Karl. This is a person who supported Karl. This is a person who said and was advocating to Billy Mitchell, have some mercy on on Karl Jobst because he has a family, right? This guy's biggest sin is trying to give advice to Karl Jobst to protect his family after he lost the trial. Karl don't want to hear that. In Jobst Korea, in that Discord where this guy's telling me he's hiding in, right, where he only gets opinions that he likes, and as soon as you disagree with him, they kick you out. It's sort of like the Amico Discord. You can only have opinions that support his opinion. I just showed you the video where he kicked out, another of his supporters for questioning the wisdom in filing an appeal when he's already, so much in the hole. I mean, that's what anybody would tell him, right? Anybody with a brain. But right now, it looks like he's surrounded by people that's telling him what he wants to hear. And they're sort of gassing him up, picking the bones, have him keep going. I'm telling you, these people have absolutely no budget for what Karl Jobst should spend. Okay? And they don't have, like, just the minimal amount of concern over Karl Jobst's family, because Karl Jobst right now is playing with his family's money, not playing with his money. It's not like he lost just a year's salary. He's lost over $1 million of his own national, coin over there in the Australian. I don't know how much that's going to be. 620,000. 62,000 a year, maybe just in interest if he gets a loan. I mean, it's just crazy. And then on top of this, right, they go and piss this guy's off. And this guy, let me tell you, he might sound like a nerd. He might sound not like the meanest guy in the world. But what he's doing here, he's going for the jugular, right? He is actually taking out Karl Jobst's funding. Because if it's true that he lied, what do you think is going to happen to GoFundMe? What do you think is going to happen for other people, right? Out in YouTube land. You know how YouTubers are. As soon as you're damaged goods, as soon as somebody, makes a claim about you lying to people and raising money under false pretenses, Karl Jobst is going to go exactly where Gerard is at right now. Right? So he's actually doing more damage with this than Karl realizes. And now he's calling him out. He's saying, you need to go on a live stream. You need to answer questions. Right? Because he's just hiding in this Discord. And like I said before, he probably should shut that down because people on Discord are screenshotting everything that he says. Everything. And sending it everywhere. It doesn't matter who goes against him. They're going to have all these statements. Not only that, They're bringing things up about his past out in Reddit now. Apparently, he likes spicy words against certain people and thinks that they're okay. There's history besides just being a pickup artist. Man, let me tell you, this right here, if he can't find that second lawsuit, this guy is in deep doo-doo. Because if this lawyer takes him down for not having evidence of that second lawsuit that he keeps on mentioning while raising money, then that means he lied on this GoFundMe. And that's this lawyer's claim right now. I hope he finds it, because if he doesn't, I don't see a way where he's going to get out of that. Right? He knows the difference between a concerns letter, right, and an actual lawsuit. Because at some point, this lawyer's saying that he's talking about multiple lawsuits, more than 2, which is absolutely nuts. And nobody can find evidence of multiple lawsuits, right, let alone 2. And that's what they're digging in. If there isn't a lawsuit, man, Karl Jobst is not going to be able to raise a nickel. He's going to be damaged good on YouTube. And this guy's going to make, how many videos about this guy raising money under false pretenses, right? And it's just not a guy like me, a guy that's just smack talking to, a small audience. Big YouTubers are going to pick up on this, right? Because they love a good story, especially when it's super negative, and there goes his hopes of doing anything else. It's time to start finding another career if this lawsuit doesn't appear soon, this second lawsuit that he raised money with. All right, humans, I don't think it matters. I think this guy is like DSP at this point. I really do. I mean, some people think I'm kidding, but I'm not. When you get to the levels of delusion where you think you can't do anything wrong, what does DSP say? I did everything correct. I did nothing wrong. And now he's on his Discord. Banned. Oh, man. Now that's a way to start off the morning. Maybe you're going to work. Maybe you don't like your job, right? But at least you're not Karl Jobst right now, right? At least there's somebody we can look up to and say, man, now that guy is having a terrible week. All right, humans, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.